So this is the award, the biggest choke / disappointment of 2022. And I don't want you guys to steal my answer, so I'm actually going to go first on this one. Came to me quite quickly. Sha'Carri Richardson of the USA's. She is one of the most talented sprinters this country's ever produced. Won the Olympic trials easily last year in the 100, but then is DQ'd because of marijuana positive. This year, slow start. She withdrew from a bunch of races. She had this whole, what was described as a lover's quarrel. Kind of went AWOL from training camp for a while. But it looked like she was putting things together. She ran 10:85 in the 100 in the last meet before USA's. I thought for sure, I thought she'd be on the World Championship team, but at the very least, I thought she'd be in the final. No. She runs 11:31 in the first round of the 100 meters at USA's. She doesn't even make it to the semis. And then in the 200 meters, she made the semis, but she ran 22:47, didn't make the final. To me, it has to be Sha'Carri. It's just no explanation was ever given, so we're left to assume it was just a choke. But given the expectations at a talent level, that was my answer for this one.
Well, John, you clearly hacked into my secret file and stole my answer. I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's crazy how popular she is. Some of her articles we write in her to go nuts on Google and stuff. But after the Olympics 2021, the marijuana positive, which I felt was grossly unfair. Yes, she violated the rules, but that's supposed to be a minor penalty, and she missed the biggest thing in the sport every 4 years. That's not how that penalty should work. She had an amazing opportunity this year. Justin Gatlin, who used to train with her, retired this year, was saying, like, yeah, there's some talk, like, almost she could challenge the world record and stuff. Justin sort of did the media rounds this year, podcast circuit, was talking a big game. Speaking of surprises here, Justin Gatlin announced some meet this year. He was great. I know Justin and he didn't want to answer my questions about doping back in the day, but I thought he was a nice addition. He should be announcing more meets. But Sha'Carri, yeah, just completely fizzled out. That was just such a shock too, John, to go out like that. You think, oh, maybe something happened. She gets fourth. To bomb out in the semis?
So she bombed out in the first round of the 100.
Wait, first round? Yeah. Wait,
yeah.
The semis is kind of hard in the U.S. The first round. Like, what am I thinking? Just, you don't see that. You don't. Like,
no, because it's not like she got a bad start or anything like that. It was just she raced and she normally is running people down at the end, and it was not happening. So, yes, it was a stunt.
So, for me, I wasn't sure exactly this category, John. Like, what is the technical category here?
I said biggest choke, biggest disappointment. I'll give you some leeway here, Robert.
Well, I was starting to say Sifan Hassan or Karsten Warholm. I mean, if you told me at the beginning of the year that neither one of them would medal at Worlds, people would have said, you got to be kidding me. But Hassan admittedly took off like half the year, and maybe Warholm should have taken off some of the year because he was racing a lot early and then got hurt. But obviously, I'm being a little bit contrarian by saying that. But for me...
Wait, that's a revision. That's not true. Warholm got hurt in his first Diamond League of 2022 in Rabat.
Okay. Wow. Anyways, John's letting the facts get in the way of a good narrative. But what was most disappointing for me, and I'm not sure if the Ethiopian men in general on the track in Eugene, where it was kind of shocking that they did not win a single medal in the 5 or 10. Now, they did get a silver in the steeple and they did win the marathon. But like, if you had told me before Worlds that the following would happen, I wouldn't have believed it. I mean, Selemon Barega, he's the Olympic 10,000 champ, right? Remember, this guy beat Cheptegei last year. He won World Indoors in the 3,000. He runs 12:54 and 12:56 before we go to Worlds this year in Eugene. If you told me he was going to show up and finish 5th in the 10K and 12th in the 5K, I would have said no way. So that's when we're talking about Grant Fisher medaling. Again, this is going to be super tough because there's guys like that who are behind Fisher this year who may get it together this year. And then Barahu Aragawe. This was a guy that was 4th in the Olympics, one spot ahead of Fisher in the 10K. He ran 7:26 indoors twice. Remember, he won pre-classic by 16 seconds at 12:50. He went into Worlds and
He was 7th in the 10,000.
And then they kicked him off the 5,000 team. So that was crazy. And if that's not enough, I mean, Samuel Tefera, the world indoor champion in the 1500, yet again doesn't make the final in the 1500. He had been running 5Ks. I was thinking, oh, he's got a different strategy. He's running like 13-minute low, working his endurance. He'll get in and be ready to go. No. So Ethiopian men were my disappointment of the year.
That's a fair choice. I did have an honorable mention here as well. And it somewhat pays me to do this because I think this guy is very good for the sport. He has a podcast, which is very entertaining, gives a nice look in. Ollie Hoare, World Championships, didn't even make the final. That's just a huge disappointment. And I don't think you can chalk it up to injury or anything like that. He was running very well before the World Championships. He got second at the Pre-Classic, second in Oslo. And then afterwards, he wins the Commonwealth Games. He gets third in the Diamond League final in Zurich. He bounced back very well. But for a guy who was one of the best 1,500 meters in the runners in the world the entire year, not to even make the final, you have to say that's one of the biggest disappointments of the season, even though he bounced back impressively with that Commonwealth Games gold.
I had an honorable mention too, John. 1,500 meter runner, Timothy Chariot. This guy used to just run this event. Gets second at the Olympics, bombs out at Worlds, doesn't medal, and then he gets beat by Ollie Hoare, John, at Commonwealth Games. Second place. And while we're on the Commonwealth Games, mention of that, shout out. That was one of the biggest surprises, best things to happen in the sport this year. Maybe it's just because it's Commonwealth Games. Maybe it's like the Olympics in the U.S. But however they got people in the fans for that thing, they should be rewarded. World Athletics needs to be talking to them. Did you guys do something else? You really think it's just the name of having the Commonwealth Games? But they showed track fans can turn out. I was so shocked by the attendance of that thing. Great job.
I thought it was awesome too, and well done. It got me excited because one of my events that I'd really like to go to one day in the sport that I've never covered is the European Championships, because watching the last two editions in Munich this year and Berlin 2018, the fans get really into it. It's great support. Germany, they love their track and field over there. The next edition, I don't like the ones that are in the Olympic years because the stars don't go to it, but the 2026 edition is in Birmingham, England, the same stadium that hosted the Commonwealths. I think that'll be a really fun event to go to because there's not going to be a World Championships that year. So that is one to keep your radar in. I think that's going to be a great event in 26.
The fact that they're holding that meet in the Olympic year nowadays is disgraceful. Like they're thinking about doing the World Cup every 3 years. No, don't get greedy, people. Like the only people that can get greedy are the NFL. They can put the Thursday night game on there and we'll still watch it. But no. But Weldon said track fans can show out. I think a lot of these people showing out aren't track fans. They want to go to the Commonwealth Games. Like my ex next door neighbor, 2 houses down from France, has already texted me. We're in for the Olympic lottery with his 3, little girls. So they're in Paris and they want to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, I agree with you, Robert. It's definitely, and like we said at the time, Birmingham, it's a centrally located city in the UK, so it's pretty easy to make a day trip there from a lot of places, as opposed to Eugene, you have to make a very dedicated trip. But moving on in our awards show, this one, we've got Athlete of the Year.